everybody, welcome back to Glenn's Garage and welcome back to the 300ZX Turbo Project. Today we're going to be checking engine codes like they did back in the 80s. Okay, so I'm going to try and do a basic diagnostic on this this car. I'm going to be ordering engine parts, service parts soon, and if I need anything that shows up through the, that's thrown a code, if you will, I'll order that at the same time. Now, this is the first time I've worked on a car of this sort of generation in a very, very, very long time. Typically what I've been working on are new enough that they're OBD2, so sort of 2000 and up, and I've got a very nice scanner to plug in and it'll tell me a bunch of stuff depending on the year. Or they've been old, no computers, and you're just on your wits trying to figure out what's wrong. This one has, a basic computer in it, and it apparently has a simplistic diagnostic mode where you turn it on and then it blinks lights, LED lights that you count the number of times they blink, and then there's a page to look up and it'll tell you what code it's got there. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to see how this goes. I'll show you what I get done. Here's where we are on the passenger side, passenger footwell. So I've taken the trim panel off here and the trim panel off under the glove box, just some simple screws. And then you'll see the ECU sitting here. It is held by two small bolts here, a 10mm socket, one up here, one down here, and it's clipped in at the back there. So I've got the bolts out, and I'm just going to pull this out now, and then we'll see. So it should just lift out. You got to sort of, I think, maneuver around the harness down here, and we'll see. There should be a screw here that you can turn that goes, we'll put it into diagnostic mode, and then there should be a red and a green LED light I can see here somewhere. So let's have a look. We'll get this out and I'll show you what I got. Okay, so I've maneuvered the ECU out into the footwell here. This, I am assuming, is the screw that I can turn to put into diagnostic mode. I don't clean up here and see if I see any writing there. Not sure there's anything there. And then in there appear to be, I don't know if you can see that, a red and a green LED light, and they're supposed to blink out a code which tells me what the issue it's stored is, if it's stored any issues. So I don't actually see any writing there, so I guess that's just going to turn, I assume, 90 degrees one way or the other, and put the ignition on, and we'll see if we have lights here. Okay, so with the ignition on, I have not turned this screw, but it appears to be in diagnostic mode, so I'll just show you the kind of flashes you're going to see. Here, 2 red, 2, 3, 4, 4 green. So the reds are the 10s, the greens are the single digit. So that's a 33, so that's 30. 1, so 31 is a code. One, 10, 2, 3. So that's 13 is a code. So it's going to do that. It's going to pull up 4 codes that I wrote down here. So now I'm going to look up online what those 4 codes mean. What I'll show you here are the 13 possible codes that could be stored in the ECU. Alright, so the codes I got: 31, 13, 23, and 24. 31 seems to be AC, and the fact that it was deleted and wires not connected, I'm not surprised it's throwing that. 13 is a cylinder head temp sensor. Now, to the best of my understanding, there are only like 3, if you will, critical sensors on this car. The MAF, of course, the crank position sensor, and this cylinder head temp sensor. It may be being triggered, something to do with the AC delete, because it does, I believe, control the condenser fan, but I'm going to change it anyway. The fact that it's throwing this code and that I'll be there doing, in that area, doing all the timing belt, and the access will be easier. I'm going to change that sensor. It's just not worth not doing. Throttle valve switch. That's there's an adjustment on that. So I guess once I got everything else done, I got it running, I'll have a look at that. See if there any adjustment worth doing. And then 24 is a neutral or park switch. So that'll be on the transmission. So, I mean, I don't have park, of course. A neutral switch would be, I assume, to let it start in neutral. Again, I'm not particularly worried about that. It's nothing I'm going to look into right away. So certainly it was worth looking at, because the cylinder head temp sensor, something I'll order when I order all the parts for under the hood. Okay, so that is how you check for codes stored on the ECU on a Z31 300ZX. So that's 84 to 89. It's different. It's almost amusing, really, having to pull the box out and sit there and count green and red lights flashing, and write down what the numbers that they count out, and then look it up. But you know, this is full 10 years before OBD2, so I mean, it's the 80s technology. It is what it is, and you know, that's where the technology was. So you know, we got it done. It's not the most convenient thing in the world, but we'll get it all put back together there, clip back in, put the bolts in. It's, you know, putting it in is exactly the reverse of taking it out. Should be nothing tricky there. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you tuning into the channel, checking out the videos. Hope it was helpful to you if you're trying to do any diagnosis. As always, a like or a subscribe would be much appreciated for the channel. And keep checking in, keep tuning in. We're going to continue to do all kinds of stuff on this 300ZX as we get it back on the road. And I'm going to try and capture it all on video. In the meantime, everybody, you stay safe, drive carefully.